Welcome. In this video we're diving into the top 3 reasons why Avowed has received so much hate, and 1 reason why I can't stop playing. I'm Shadowcoast and this channel is devoted to reviews, tips, tricks, and how-tos to get you back to enjoying the game. The first major criticism I would label as style or look and feel. When Avowed was first revealed back in 2020, it had a more dark and gritty look and felt closer to an Elder Scrolls type of game. And we can see this looking at the trailer footage that was released in July 2020. I was expecting that darker, more grim and realistic feel to the game based on the original trailer, and that expectation did not change until shortly after the game actually released. This created a slight disconnect when I first jumped into the game, and it was transparently a little bit jarring. Instead, as we can see, the game is much brighter and more colorful, as we can see from this launch trailer and actual gameplay. The style also feels much more cartoonish in nature than realistic, and I can see why many people found this off-putting, as it took me a while to adjust to what the game actually is versus what I expected it to be. Ultimately, I think this has become less of a concern for many players who truly give the game a shot, as it still has many memorable moments that fit this style. The second main point of contention I would label as scale and scope. Like many others, I found myself at launch comparing Avowed to Bethesda's Skyrim rather than their previous works like The Outer Worlds. In doing so, the scale does fall short, and one easy point of comparison is time to beat the main storyline. Avowed will take you roughly 20 hours to beat the main storyline, with upwards of 40 hours for a complete game playthrough. That's considerably less than Skyrim's roughly 35 hours to beat the main story and over 100 plus hours of additional content. Furthermore, like many others, I had the expectation that this would be a much larger open world to explore. And while it does not feel extremely small, it is limited in scale of exploration when comparing to, say, a Skyrim. With that said, and upon reflection, this comparison is not fair as these are two completely separate games. Furthermore, if we compare it to The Outer Worlds, which takes roughly 14 hours to beat the main storyline, we do see an expanded game with a greater scale. However, I will say a large part of this does fall on Obsidian soldiers, as I feel that it's justified to call them out for doing a very poor job in level setting expectations. We received limited information leading up to the launch, which allowed many to inflate their expectations, making it a higher hurdle to achieve for Obsidian. It may not be fair, but that's part of the job of marketing, to ensure that the product meets people's expectations and setting those expectations before and during launch. When it comes to scope, I define that as a complexity and depth of various mechanics ranging from combat, ensuring choice matters, depth of character development, side quests, and more. I read a few threads that seem to imply that Avowed is overly basic and not complex in nature. And I agree, Avowed is a very basic RPG, especially when you compare it to a game such as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Let's look at the various mechanics, across combat, ability to achieve or complete quests, and other interactive items such as stealth and stealing. A perfect example of this is lockpicking, which just requires having enough lockpicks versus adding in an additional minigame to achieve. That said, having played Avowed for a good period of time now, I believe it actually does have good combat mechanics, and the ability to change your abilities and stats is nice and allows you to focus on playing the game rather than spending time thinking about where to put each point or what ability to get. You can pay a sum of money and swap those out at your discretion. I also think the side quests and character depth is better than many expect or give it credit for. One item that took me by surprise is the various mini side quests that don't show up in your journal. And 2 examples of this are searching a vendor coming into the city, looking for contraband, or delivering breakup notes. These don't show quest markers or give you any direction. You can just do it, and it seems to have an impact or reaction from your companions. I like that a lot, and want to see more of that in future games. I will also say that choice does appear to matter as you progress the game, and it has a meaningful impact depending on decisions you make. While I'm not sure how subtle some of these choices impact outcomes, having 2 parallel playthroughs has yielded different results and different reactions from the game. I won't go into details to avoid any spoilers, but suffice to say that saving a vendor from some thugs can have lasting consequences, as I've come to learn in one of my playthroughs. Before I touch on the biggest criticism, there is one simple reason I can't stop playing. It's fun. That's it. It's simply fun. I don't have to spend a lot of time thinking and can jump right in and enjoy the game. I can easily change up my playstyle, experiment with other loadouts and looks, armor, abilities, stats. And I found that the story is actually very compelling, though it does take a little bit of time to get into. Now, with all those points made, the final and biggest criticism that I've observed over these last several days and is trending is the fact that the game is too quote-unquote woke, or the wokeness of the game. Without spoiling anything, you'll encounter various characters and situations in-game that I guess you could call woke, but I find that criticism around this very surprising, as Avowed is extremely tame when it compares to other games such as Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk 2077 as two examples. Furthermore, Avowed doesn't have any meaningful romance options in the game. So this concept, which I'm reading a lot about, actually personally rubs me a little bit the wrong way. You know, everyone can not play a game if they find it offensive, that's fine, but I find it surprising that Avowed has received so much hate in this particular topic. Now, one additional honorable mention is that many people are hating on Avowed because it's an Xbox and PC exclusive, which, let's be honest, the PlayStation ports to PCs have all sucked in my opinion and taken a lot of time to actually get right if they ever do get it right. So yes, let's go PC Master Race, that's what I only play on. And personally, I don't expect Microsoft to do Sony any favors, just as I don't expect Sony to do Microsoft any favors. So, what's your biggest criticism of Avowed? Are you playing and enjoying it? Are you disappointed? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Shadow Coast out.